I have a feeling like there's an entire generation of people out there who are going to discover Invader Zim through this special, and they're going to look at it and wonder, what the hell were 90s kids doing? Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
This is our post-Geekout reaction for Invader Zim Enter the Florpus. And what can I say about this that I didn't already say about Rocko's Modern Life Stat Clean just a couple weeks ago? Because it is stunning to me. It is stunning to me. What a good continuation of the original product this is.
It really is. It really does feel like the grand finale, like the final chapter in the book.
Which I am torn on, because I've seen many other people saying, like, this feels like the series finale that it never got. The series finale it should have gotten. But to me, hello cars outside, but to me, this felt like equally a series finale and equally a reboot point. Like, I don't really want to say that because I know that Jonah Vasquez, the guy who created this thing, he hates doing Invader Zim, which I get a feeling like he sorta like he loves Invader Zim. He just hates the fan base it created.
Yeah.
Which, when you hear about the stories about how his fans treat him, you're like, oh, I can't blame you. Fans are awful people. Yeah, because I've heard some of those stories, and I'm just like, oh my god, I would have, like, stopped making all public appearances long ago if I was you, man. I would have, like, just moved to a cabin in the woods, like, had no internet, no nothing. Yeah, it's, he really has been outspoken about how much he dislikes the fan base, and I love that this thing begins with Dim locked in his room, just out of shape, just smelly, not bathing, surrounded by garbage, just looking at his computer going, Zim, when will you return, Zim? You do not have to be a psychologist to look at that and just go like, yeah, you're trying to make a statement about the fan base. Dim is the fans who for years kept coming to you going, so when is there more Invader Zim? When are we getting more Invader Zim? You're trying to basically put them all down, and I'm all in favor of him doing that because, listen, man, if people treated me the way that they treated him, I would probably put like some kind of like commentary about, please stop bothering me inside the cartoon. Yeah, I totally applaud him doing that, and I love that he decided to go that direction with Dib. But this thing starts off, and it's weird. This thing, with commercials, this would have been an hour and a half. So without commercials, it comes out to like an hour and 10 minutes. But that means that's basically meant to be like 3 episodes almost in length. And this first episode, it's basically just Dib getting back into shape. It's Dib, he has to learn how to get back into shape, and Zim forgot what his plan was.
Yes, like phase 1 was deliberately hiding for years so Dib would be out of shape, but he completely forgot what phase 2 was.
Yes. Oh, and goddamn, okay. I want to come in here and I want to just talk about how good the jokes are in here, but there is no way that I could describe the jokes in here and actually capture how good they are in here. And that is the thing that, as I said with Rocko's Modern Life, it's amazing to me how good of a continuation that was of the original thing. This is still amazing to me how good of a continuation it is because nobody has a sense of humor quite like Invader Zim, and this has the same sense of humor that it had all those years ago. And I don't think it's going to have the impact on new fans out there. I don't think it's going to have the impact on new people checking this out for the first time because I was listening to some people out there. I was reading like on Reddit or somewhere. Someone said, yeah, I never watched Invader Zim in the past, so I decided to check out this special. And I don't know, it just seemed a little too low random for me. And I was like, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But they were doing that when no one else was.
Yeah, that was
This wasn't like Adult Swim did not exist. Adult Swim was not a thing where every single show was just, we're just gonna say wacky, crazy crap. Invader Zim came out at a time when no one was doing that, and it's amazing to me how you can look at Invader Zim.
Yeah, exactly, like...
And they still do it better than 90% of the people out there who do it now.
Like, that's the thing, is like, a lot of like the cartoons in like the mid to late 90s had that low random humor, and it like basically like shaped a generation.
Yes. But Invader Zim, they really did before most anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, like, they were like...
At least to the extent that they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, another cartoon I keep thinking about is The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
You always kill me with that reference. Yeah, I freaking love The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, and that was also very low random. But again, not to this freaking
No.
Because Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, they would have a plot that goes from A to B, and they would have dialogue that, aside from the occasional throwaway joke going here or there, most of it would have to do with whatever was going on. Invader Zim literally has a character who is a broken robot, and every word out of their mouth is something that has nothing to do with anything else that is going on in this. Yeah, they have an entire LOL random machine in this. And I mean, like, every single, like, kid that pops up in there, every single student in Dip's class, they all just make a joke that doesn't even seem like it has anything to do with anything else in here.
Like, just some random kid, like, shouting something out, like, off screen or in the corner. And
anytime you saw a group of kids, you know that someone would just shout something out. Yeah, this entire series was basically built around that. But again, they did it with just this chaos engine of a mind behind it. Unlike anything else that we saw at that time, especially, but even to this day, when an entire generation has now been shaped around that. Like I mentioned, Adult Swim is basically nothing but LOL random crap now. Even they don't really get to the point that Invader Zim did, and one of the best things about this is that there's a guest star in here. There's a robot that they built to make them breakfast, and it's voiced by the guy behind Rick and Morty. And I love that they got him in here for that, because as soon as he pops up in here as a cameo, I looked at that and went, oh my god, Rick and Morty was probably shaped almost entirely by Invader Zim. Because you look at how weird Rick and Morty gets at times, that's basically what Invader Zim was. Invader Zim is still a little bit more all over the place, but that sense of humor, you see that continuing on in Rick and Morty. You also see the trend of toxic fan bases based around really good programs continuing on in Rick and Morty, so maybe. Yes. Yeah. It was after reading those comments that I kind of had a new appreciation for Invader Zim, because, yeah, I always knew that was incredibly random, but I didn't realize, but nobody else was doing that at the time. That is insane how trailblazing this show was.
Yes.
And as we've said many times before, this show, this special, it still feels like Invader Zim. And when we were talking about Rocko's Modern Life, the reference that I brought up was The Simpsons. The Simpsons, they were genius for like a solid 6 goddamn years in there. Season 3 through season 9, amazing stuff in there. Better than almost anything else on television, and still to this day, absolutely holds up. But then it kind of fell apart. But then every now and again, they will get some of those old writers to come back and do an episode, and those episodes still don't really feel good. Well, they'll get those old writers to come back, and it's like, oh man, maybe it was just all you guys in the room together. Maybe you lost your touch. Maybe it's just, the times have changed, but I don't know, man. You're not putting out the quality of content that you used to. Invader Zim, they haven't done anything in 15 years for Invader Zim. This feels like Invader Zim. It is amazing to me how they took that long in between breaks, and they had a comic book in there that had some of the original creators working on that thing, and that I read that comic. That comic feels like Invader Zim. But they came back into this thing, and that's Invader Zim. Everything in here, like all the actors knew exactly what lines to deliver, like the emphasis to give every single line. The writing is exactly the same as the old Invader Zim. Yeah, it's incredible to me how well they were able to keep this up. Now, as I said, I'm just speaking as an Invader Zim fan. I was a huge fan of this series. I am wondering how many people out there are going to watch this who never watched it before, and you're going to get it. Because, as I said, you've now had a generation of this stuff. It's saturated. It's nothing special out there. Live action stuff does the LOL random now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not special anymore. So I am
we have internet memes now. You want to talk about LOL random.
Dude, this was internet memes, the show, before internet memes were a thing.
Exactly.
It's incredible to me what this show was able to do back then. And I am wondering how many people out there are going to be able to get into this now when you weren't into it before. So I can't speak to that audience out there. I can only speak for the people out there who are fans of these characters, of this style of humor. Yeah, man, they nailed it. They absolutely nailed it. And there's so many jokes in here that we talk about how this is this was basically internet memes before internet memes were a thing. Well, now internet memes are a thing. I have already seen so many things from this episode, from this special, just spreading around the internet. That thing of Professor Membrane coming up there and going, "No one is more excited for this than I am." I am. That is actually
not scientifically possible.
I have seen so many people just green screening the thing he's talking about back there. Yeah, that is a perfect example of what this show was able to create. And it's not like and this show, it never feels like, you guys have to forgive me. I'm going to go ahead and break the fourth wall on this one a little bit. I've got bronchitis. So I am trying to not just start coughing with every single line of dialogue I say here. But I had to get that out because I could just feel, nope, any second now. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Here it comes. Nope. Hold off a little bit longer. But yeah, it does not feel like they are trying to make memes. Because that is something that you see in a lot of other stuff out there.
Yeah.
And it always comes across as desperate. No, this just feels like people putting out there what they want to put out there. This just feels like the jokes they wanted to write. And goddamn, those jokes just spread like wildfire.
It's just Invader Zim being Invader Zim.
I will say, I think Gurr was funnier in the old series.
I guess so. I mean, like,
But then again, I'm comparing this one movie to everything Gurr ever did. So I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. It's like, you love Gurr because of the lol randomness.
You love Gurr because of Gurr's best hits. Yeah, it'd be like if a musician that you hadn't seen in forever came out with a new track. It's like, yeah, man, it's probably a great track, but I've got your best of album playing in my mind right now. But the reason why I'm actually singling out Gurr there is because I look at Dib, I look at Gaz, I look at especially Zim, and I'm like, yeah, this is some of your best stuff. Like, this is exactly as good as you always were. Gurr, I look at a little bit like, oh, okay, well, you know, I don't think that all of Gurr's jokes were quite as funny as they used to be, but I still enjoy them a lot. That is like the one character that I'm like, maybe.
Yeah, like a lot of Gurr's jokes were very hit or miss, and the ones that hit were a huge hit.
You do not remember Gurr's not funny jokes in the past. Yeah, you just remember the good stuff. Sorry, I'm remembering Gurr's good stuff right now. But I do think that Gurr actually had still some good lines in here.
Yeah.
But typically, Gurr was always the star of the show to me. Gurr always had the best moments. Here, I think Zim and Dib absolutely, and Gaz absolutely have the best moments.
I kind of felt like that was done on purpose because I know Jonan Vasquez was always annoyed about how so many people kept quoting Gurr, and it's like, he's just the idiot sidekick. Please stop. The show is called Invader Zim, not Gurr.
Yeah. And Zim, like, from the start of this was having me crack up. The line about Dib saying, oh, and you're going to try and take over the taco place. And he goes, oh, what? No? Oh, I hate the taco place. Gurr likes that. Yeah! I love that moment. That is such a good joke in there. I'm not just gonna start quoting jokes. We'll be here all day. But speaking of, like, the actual story in here, I love that basically the premise of this is that Zim, after all this time, learns that the Urkins don't like him. Because the Urkins sent him to Earth, which was way over here, and their plan was to go this way. And they're like, oh no, Earth is actually very important. So this entire series has been Zim trying to conquer Earth to prove his loyalty to the tallest. And after all this time, he finally realized, oh my god, they're never actually coming. They don't actually care about me. And you actually get kind of like this genuine human moment from Zim in which he's actually depressed over that. And there was a moment in there in which I had to stop and think to myself, where is this going to go? Because Dib gets back into shape. He's back in the fighting spirit. He goes there to confront Zim, and Zim's just, whatever. It's all over. Screw it, nothing matters anymore, man. And Dib, right before this, ended up having a conversation with his dad, where his dad was going, son, when are you going to finally give up all this paranormal stuff? When are you going to give up looking for all this? It's not scientifically accurate. And Dib is just trying to show him, here's all the stuff I have actually found. And he's just looking at it going, that's a very nice hobby that you have, but no, that's not real. And then they actually have like this bonding moment between the two of them. And I wanted to see where that was going to go. And I thought to myself, this is such a brilliant thing to do with this storyline. And that lasts for 5 minutes until Zim is back in the game. And I'm actually kind of glad about that because it speaks to Zim so much that you look at that and go, that's exactly what Zim would do. Because Zim sees a way to not conquer the planet on his own, not turn his life around, not try and live a different life after he learned that everything he'd been told was a lie. No, he learned that the Urkins hated him and were never going to come to him, but he was still so desperate to prove himself to the tallest because he believed that, oh no, as soon as I do this, they're gonna love me again, that he takes over the planet and teleports the planet right in the path of the Urkins. I love that because you look at that and you just go, yeah, that's Zim. Zim would not learn a lesson from this, and that's why we love him. He's that stupid. You would love him for that reason. And all of it leads up to some great moments with these characters. Like the moment of Gaz actually kind of bonding a little bit with Dib in there.
Yeah.
Over them trying to stop it, which we had seen that before.
Yeah.
But they still, like, you never got a sense of they actually cared about each other. There's the moment where Dib is just breaking down and Gaz is like, oh my god, I give you a hard time, but it's because I know that you can take it. Come on, man. You can get back. Like, she's actually trying to encourage him to get back in the game. And it actually speaks a lot to the brother-sister relationship that they have, the sibling relationship they have. And I love that. It's one of the only times that you ever really get that in the entire series.
There was another time with Professor Membrane where Dib is like, I just want you to be proud of me. He's like, son, I've always been proud of you.
Yeah, that was great. And, man, Membrane, this entire series has been like... He's been like Chekhov's gun. He's been a better metaphor to go back to The Simpsons. He's been like, you remember that episode where the Mafia shows up and then the Yakuza show up and they start fighting on their front lawn and Homer's just like, but the little guy hasn't done anything yet. You know he's gonna do something, it's gonna be cool when he does it. You just keep thinking that Membrane is just like this goofy scientist. And then when he pops up and starts kicking ass in here, it's like, oh, he finally got up off the bench. He had just been sitting there this entire time like, oh no, I'm the world's greatest scientist. That means I can do all kinds of crazy crap. When he pops up there to actually fight side by side with his son, it's such a great moment because it's the goofy sidekick showing up to be like, oh, you weren't the actual goofy. Oh, right, you're the dad who's the world's smartest scientist. Of course you can fire laser beams out of your robot arms. Of course you can shoot a Hadouken out of your hands. Yes, of course, this all makes sense. Yeah, that was a great moment in there. And it's one of those things that made you look at this and go, there was absolutely a purpose to do this other than just, let's give Zim one last ride. You needed to have that moment of the two of them like coming together and bonding. It was so good. You needed stuff like that. I will say though, and this is one of the reasons why I say, this feels like it could be the big finale, or this is the perfect reboot point for this entire thing. Because at the end of this whole thing, Professor Membrane just goes, that was certainly a weird dream that I had last night, and goes right back to not believing Dib at all. And Zim didn't like get blown up, Zim didn't get captured, Zim didn't get exposed to the world. Zim's still just living down the street from Dim. Still just trying to take over the world to prove himself to the tallest. The only thing that happened is that the tallest are now trapped in some alternate dimension, but you don't really need them. But by the way, I'm glad they got, what's his name, Kevin McGuire, I think his name is? The guy from...
Norm McDonald? Or?
No,
Kevin
has the exact same haircut, but... yeah, I think his name is Kevin McDonald, but he was in Kids in the Hall.
Yeah.
The Canadian SNL. Yeah, which was actually better than our SNL. Yeah, I was amazed they got him to come back. Because everybody else in here, I'm like, yeah, they've continued working and stuff. I haven't seen Kevin McDonald in anything in like forever. He should be in stuff. He was always my favorite member of Kids in the Hall.
It's like, I always thought he was a great voice actor. Like, he has a very, very noticeable voice.
Distinguished
voice.
Not distinguished, but discernible.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely look at it and go, that is a voice that belongs in a cartoon character. Yeah, I was so happy to see him popping up in here again. Especially because he's not like one of the main guys. You could replace blue tallest and no one would notice.
Purple.
Yeah. I didn't even notice the colors. This probably isn't good for my bronchitis to be yelling this much. Anywho, yeah, you absolutely could replace him, but it just amazes me how many people they got to come back for this thing. Let's see, but yeah, at the end of this thing, the only thing that's really changed is that the tallest are now gone. But you know they can come back. You know they can come back off screen.
It is possible for them to come back.
It's one of those gags. It's one of those gags where if in another episode, Zim is calling them up and goes, "What do you want, Zim? Oh, glad to see you made it out of the Florpus." We don't talk about that. You could just a quick brush away joke and then no explanation at all. That's all that you need.
Also, the clone Membrane now lives with the family.
But the thing is, like, that's not like an ending point. That is, again, that's like a new supporting character.
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to find out those calls. Exactly, yes. that would be like a great. You've got him. You've got the food bot. You've got so many things that like create a new supporting cast for a brand new Zim series. But I don't want to come in here too hard and be like, yeah, so we're getting that new Zim right now, right? Because I know that's what tormented this creator for 15 goddamn years. So I was like, okay, yeah, all right, fine. If this is the end, this is a great ending. I'm just saying it is open to continued adventures. Yeah, I'm really wondering what the ratings are going to be like for this, depending on what Netflix counts as ratings. Yeah, I absolutely love this thing, and I would be interested in seeing more Invader Zim.
Even though, like, I'm more nostalgic for Rocco, I felt like Enter the Florpus was, like, a better movie.
Really?
But then again, maybe it's because I'm an animation geek.
They go nuts in this.
Yes. Anytime.
I was wondering when we were going to talk about this.
Anytime a cartoon does something where they use different forms of animation, whether it's because they're going through alternate dimensions or whatever, that is like an instant win to me, honestly.
Dude, the start of this thing.
Yeah.
The start of this thing, where it's got Dim in anime style, looking like he's about to go and fight Dio.
Narrating for us.
The opening animation in this thing of Dim's own mindset of what he is like is so freaking good. I love that intro. I will say, I feel like the animation throughout the rest of this thing, it still looks good. It still looks like Zim, but it felt cleaner to me.
It did feel cleaner.
Yes, I was.
But I think it's just because we have the technology to make it nice.
Yeah, because in the past that thing looked janky. That thing looked, but I mean that in a good way.
Yes.
When I say it looked janky, I mean that in a good way because it looked like you had a crazy man hunched over a drawing board. This thing, it looks more like okay, now we move that character over here. Click, 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 click. Okay. But I mean, for changing to that format, this looked about as good as you can do that. Everything kind of loses a little bit of that charm when you move from that to that. Not everything. Some stuff works better in that form. But, yeah, I didn't know it was a change, but it still worked. It still absolutely worked. And I think that because they were able to go with that change and it was now all digital, it was all now Flash, probably, I don't know for sure. But because they were able to move over to updated technology, that's probably one of the reasons why we were able to get some of the amazing looking scenes in here. Like the opening and when they're going through the different dimensions and they're changing into everything.
And it's like they got like separate animators to do like each and every one of those segments. And that's
it's so amazing that sequence in there. I saw somebody bad-mouthing that because they said that. It's like, oh, it's just an excuse for, like, animation porn. Or it's like, I can't remember the exact way they described it, but it was like, oh, yeah, it's just an excuse for them to just go nuts with the animation. I was like, what the fuck is your point? Yeah,
what's the point of, like, doing animation if we're not going to go nuts?
Wow,
Wow,
I really hated Avengers Endgame. It was just an excuse to get a bunch of superheroes up on screen. Are we like living in the same world where we have like the similar like ideas of big?
It's the season finale. You have to go big, honestly.
Man, I hate how they tried. Oh god.
How dare they hire all these talented artists to do
What mediocre
work?
shit have you been eating your entire life? Where when you get good stuff that artists actually work their ass off on, you're like, ooh, effort. Go fuck yourself with your mediocre, I'm gonna eat McDonald's for the rest of my life lifestyle, you piece of shit. Oh, God. I don't even know what person online I was yelling at. It was just some random person saw on the chat board. Oh, anywho. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this, and if they want to make more Zim, great. If they don't, understandable. This was a perfect finale to it. But man, it is so rare that we get not just a great
Is the comic book still going?
I don't know. It's by Oni, and Oni doesn't do... I don't think Oni publishes stuff digitally, and I've switched entirely over to digital at this point. So unless they're on Comixology now, I don't know. Maybe. Sure. Could be. So yeah, it is rare that you can get something that is such a great finale, and also just that great, like, possible continuation on from there. So we will see what happens from here on out, because you know if this thing does well, Netflix is going to be knocking on Jonah Vasquez's door. But that's the weird thing about this. You have to have not just Netflix, but also Nickelodeon knocking on their door. But Netflix has shown they are very willing to work with other people as long as those other people are willing to put up some money on it. It's one of the reasons the Marvel shows got canceled. Disney is infamous for, oh, you want to make something for us? Great. Are we, like...
But you want us to pay you? What?
Yeah. Yeah, I still have people to this day saying, yeah, Disney canceled those Marvel Netflix shows because they wanted to launch them on their own streaming service. They didn't want to compete. No, Netflix canceled them because Disney was not giving them money to make those shows. So it wasn't actually doing Netflix any real good. Yeah, that's the actual thing that happened behind the scenes. Signed, someone who has spoken to people behind the scenes on that. So, anyway, sorry, that's something is neither here nor there. You know. Man, I need to stop talking now because my jaw is about to wire shut. So thank you guys for tuning in. Come back next week when we will probably talk about nothing because it's the end of summer and the start of September. So until episode 2 comes out, we got nothing to talk about. But we'll find something. We'll talk about something next week. Come back then. Bye, everyone.
Bye.